Commander Kane Tajo stood at the large window of the space station. His dark eyes were fixed on the massive alien ship that had appeared 6 months ago. It hung in Earth's orbit like a silver teardrop, silent and waiting. "They're calling again, sir," said his assistant. Tajo took a deep breath. As head of the United Earth Space Force's diplomatic division, he had become the face of humanity to these visitors. The aliens called themselves the Collective. Today, they would share their decision about Earth. "Open the channel," he said. The air in front of him shimmered, and a tall blue-skinned being appeared. It had 4 arms and large, unblinking eyes that reminded Tajo of a cat's. "Commander Kang," the alien said. Its voice sounded like several people talking at once. "The Galactic Council has reached its decision." Tajo stood straight, his hands behind his back. "We are eager to hear it." The alien's mouth curved in what might have been a smile, but it didn't look friendly. "We have observed your planet for half a rotation around your star. We have studied your history, your conflicts, your primitive technology." Tajo's stomach tightened. This didn't sound good. "Humans are barbaric, fractious, and technologically immature," the alien continued. "Your species spends more time fighting among yourselves than working together. You have over 7,000 languages, causing needless confusion and division. Our diversity is our strength," Tajo said firmly. The alien made a sound like water going down a drain. Tajo realized it was laughing. "Your diversity is proof you are not ready. Advanced species speak with one voice, one language, one purpose. The Galactic Council has voted. Earth is placed under quarantine for 200 years. 200 years. Tajo couldn't hide his shock. "That's generous," the alien cut in. "Some council members wanted 500 years. Perhaps by then, you will have unified your fractured planet." Anger rose in Tajo's chest. "We want to appeal this decision." "There is no appeal. The quarantine begins now. Any human ships attempting to leave your solar system will be turned back. We will leave a small probe in orbit as a monitoring station." A small object detached from the alien ship and moved into a lower orbit. "The probe will allow us to observe your progress. It also serves as a warning beacon to other spacefaring races to avoid your system." Tajo stepped closer to the hologram. "You can't just lock us away from the rest of the galaxy. We have a right to." "You have no rights under galactic law," the alien said coldly. "You are not members of the Collective. When you are ready, when you speak with one voice and have outgrown your childish squabbles, then perhaps we will reconsider." Tajo's hands clenched into fists. "And who decides when we're ready? You?" "The Council decides. I am merely their messenger." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Though I must say, your reaction only confirms our decision. True civilization requires patience and acceptance of wisdom from more advanced beings." The hologram flickered as the alien prepared to end the transmission. "Goodbye, Commander. In 200 years, we will check if humans have evolved enough for galactic citizenship." "Wait," Tajo said quickly. "At least tell me your name. Who am I speaking to?" The alien paused. "I am High Envoy Zix of the Collective. Remember it well, human. It is the name of the one who judged your species and found it wanting." The hologram vanished. Outside, the massive alien ship began to glow. A moment later, it shot away at impossible speed, leaving only the small probe behind. Tajo stood in silence, his reflection staring back at him from the window. Then he turned to his assistant. "Contact Earth. I need to speak with the United Nations Security Council immediately." "What will you tell them, sir?" Tajo looked back at the stars where the alien ship had been. "I'll tell them that we have work to do. A lot of work." Dr. Kim Hana watched the recording of the alien meeting for the 5th time. The blue alien's smug face made her blood boil. She sat in a large room at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Around her, world leaders argued loudly. "We should build weapons," shouted one. "No, we should beg for forgiveness," said another. 200 years is too long to wait. a third cried. Hannah rubbed her temples. As Earth's top linguist, she had been called to help understand the aliens better. But now she had a different idea. The UN Secretary General banged his gavel. Please, we need order. When the room quieted, he pointed at Hannah. Dr. Kim, you've been quiet. What are your thoughts? Hannah stood up. All eyes turned to her. The aliens said our many languages make us weak, she said clearly. But I think they're wrong. I think our languages make us strong. They show how creative humans can be. But the collective thinks we should have one language, someone argued. Yes, Hannah nodded. And that's why I think they fear us. The room fell silent. What if our diversity is not a weakness but a strength they don't understand? What if it scares them? She looked around the room. I propose we show them exactly what our fractured planet can do. How? Asked the Secretary General. We create a team with speakers of Earth's 27 most widely spoken languages. We'll show the Galactic Council that our different languages help us see problems in different ways. We'll prove that human diversity leads to better solutions. Whispers filled the room. Some nodded. Others looked doubtful. It won't be enough, said a man from the back. Words alone won't impress them. Hannah looked toward the voice. It came from Park Jin-woo, head of Korea's top engineering team. You're right, Hannah agreed. We need more than words. We need action. Jin-woo stood up. The aliens left a probe, right? I've been studying the data from it. I think we can learn from their technology. You want to study the alien probe? Asked the Secretary General. Jin-woo smiled. Not just study it. I want to take it apart and see how it works. Maybe even use it to talk to the Council directly. That's risky, someone warned. What if they find out? They already think we're primitive. Hannah said. What more can they do? The Secretary General looked thoughtful. So one team works on the message, showing our linguistic diversity as a strength. Another team works on the technology, proving we're smarter than they think. Exactly, Hannah nodded. Commander Kang can lead our space operations. Jin-woo can head the tech team. I'll gather the best linguists and cultural experts. What will you call this project? Asked the Secretary General. Hannah smiled. Operation Babel. 3 days later, Hannah stood in a new office at the UN. The walls were covered with maps, language charts, and pictures of the alien ship. 27 people sat at desks, each representing one of Earth's major languages. Jin-woo entered, carrying a box of equipment. We got approval to examine the probe. They're bringing it down next week. How long will you need? Hannah asked. To understand alien technology. Normally, years. But we don't have years. Jin-woo set down his box. The good news is, we don't need to understand everything. We just need to figure out how they communicate. Hannah looked at her team, then back at Jin-woo. While you work on that, we'll prepare our message. The most powerful message in human history, delivered in 27 languages. Do you think it will work? Jin-woo asked quietly. Hannah looked at the image of the blue alien on her screen. They think we're divided and weak because we speak differently. We'll show them that our differences make us unbeatable. Outside the window, the sun was setting over New York. Somewhere up there, the alien probe watched Earth. Soon, Earth would be watching back. 1 month after the aliens left, Operation Babel was in full swing. Dr. Kim Hannah's office had turned into a busy control center. People from all over the world worked day and night on their special mission. Hannah stood in front of a large wall screen. It showed clips of human achievements from around the world. Music, art, science, and sports from every culture filled the display. We need to show them everything, she told her team. Not just our languages, but what those languages have created. Choi Sung-min, a young translator from Seoul, raised his hand. But how do we know what will impress them? What if they don't care about our music or art? Good question, Hannah said. We don't know what they value. So we'll show them all of it. Something must connect with them. In another building across the city, Park Jin-woo bent over a workbench. Pieces of the alien probe lay carefully arranged before him. He hadn't slept in 2 days, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "Found anything useful?" asked Commander Kang Tajo, who had just entered the lab. Jin-woo looked up with a smile. "More than useful. Amazing." He held up a small crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. "This is their communication device. It sends signals through space instantly. No delay like our radio waves." Tajo picked up another piece. "Can we use it?" "I think so." Jin-woo nodded. The hardest part was getting inside without breaking it. "Now I'm learning how it works. It's like a phone that can call anywhere in the galaxy." "Good work," Tajo said, placing a hand on Jin-woo's shoulder. "How soon until we can send a message?" Jin-woo thought for a moment. 2 weeks, maybe less. "Dr. Kim needs to know," Tajo said. "Her team is working on the content. They need to know what's possible." Later that day, Hannah and Jin-woo met at UN headquarters. They sat at a round table with experts from different fields. "So we can send a message directly to the Galactic Council?" Hannah asked, her eyes wide. Jin-woo nodded. "Yes. The probe was set to monitor us, but it also keeps a connection to the Council. We can use that connection." "Will they know it's coming from us?" someone asked. "I don't think so," Jin-woo explained. "The message will appear to come from the probe itself, like it's sending a regular update." Hannah stood up and paced the room. "This changes everything. I was planning a series of radio broadcasts into space, hoping they might hear us someday. But now we can speak to them directly." "We need to be careful," Tajo warned. "We only get one chance. If they realize we've hacked their probe, they might see it as proving their point about us being barbaric." Hannah stopped pacing. "Then we need to be clever. We won't just send them a message. We'll send them the truth about humanity, in a way they can't ignore." For the next 2 weeks, Hannah's team worked around the clock. They gathered examples of human cooperation across language barriers. They collected stories of translation breakthroughs. They found cases where different languages helped solve problems in new ways. Meanwhile, Jin-woo fine-tuned the alien device. He learned how to control where the message would go. He discovered how to send not just words, but images and sounds. Finally, the day came to test their system. Hannah, Jin-woo, and Tajo gathered in a secure room with their core team. "Are we ready?" Hannah asked, looking at each face in the room. Jin-woo checked his equipment one last time. "The connection is ready. We can reach the Galactic Council during their next meeting." "And our message?" Tajo asked. Hannah held up a small data drive. "It's all here. 27 people, speaking 27 languages, telling one powerful story." She took a deep breath. The story of humanity. Jin-woo reached for the crystal controller. "Then let's make some noise in the galaxy." "Operation Babel," Hannah said with a smile, "is go." The Galactic Council meeting hall was huge. Hundreds of alien beings sat in rising circles around a central platform. They looked like a rainbow of shapes and sizes. Some had many arms, others had wings, and some floated like clouds. At the front sat High Envoy Zix, the blue alien who had spoken to Commander Tajo. He was talking about trade routes when suddenly the large screen behind him flickered. "What is happening?" Zix demanded as technicians rushed to check the system. The screen went black. Then a human face appeared. It was Dr. Kim Hannah. "Greetings, Galactic Council," she said clearly. "I am Dr. Kim Hannah of Earth." The room erupted in noise. Zix's face darkened to a deeper blue. "This is impossible. Shut it down," he shouted. But the technicians couldn't stop the broadcast. Jin-woo's work had paid off. "You have judged humanity as unworthy of joining your community," Hannah continued. "You said our many languages make us weak and divided. Today, we wish to show you a different truth. The screen split into 27 smaller screens. Each showed a person from a different part of Earth. A woman in a colorful dress began to speak in Swahili. As she talked, words appeared at the bottom of the screen, translating her message. In Kenya, we have a saying, "Unity is strength, division is weakness." We believe that different voices make a stronger chorus. Next, a man spoke in Hindi. In India, we have over 120 major languages. This has not made us weaker. It has made us more creative in how we solve problems. One by one, people spoke in their own languages: Arabic, Spanish, Bengali, Portuguese, Russian, Japanese, and many more. A young girl spoke in Navajo. My language was once used to create an unbreakable code that helped win a world war. What you call a weakness became our strength. The council members watched in silence. Some leaned forward with interest. Then the screen returned to Hannah. Each language is a different way of seeing the world, she explained. Each gives us tools to think in new ways. When we work together, we don't just translate words, we share entire worldviews. The screen changed to show Earth from space. Yes, humans have fought wars. Yes, we have made mistakes. But we have also done this. Images flashed across the screen. People building bridges between countries. Scientists from different nations working together. Children from various cultures learning side by side. We have learned to communicate across our differences. We have built technology to translate between our languages instantly. We have created art and music that speaks to all people. The screen split again, showing all 27 speakers. Together, they said the same sentence, each in their own language. We are many voices, one humanity. The screen returned to Hannah. You say advanced species speak with one voice. We disagree. We believe the most advanced species can hear many voices and find harmony in their differences. She leaned closer to the camera. You gave us 200 years to become like you. We don't want to be like you. We want to show you a different way. Commander Tajo appeared beside her. The collective says we must have one language to join galactic society, he said. But what if that's wrong? What if diversity makes the galaxy stronger, not weaker? Hannah looked directly at the council. You called us barbaric, but is it not barbaric to silence voices different from your own? You called us fractious, but is it not fractious to reject those who think differently? The council chamber was completely silent. We are ready for the stars, Hannah said firmly, not despite our many languages, but because of them. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one in the council spoke. Then, from the back of the room, a small green alien stood up. I wish to address the council about what we have just witnessed, it said in a soft voice. Zix tried to object, but the council leader raised a hand to silence him. Let the Neri speak, the leader said. The small green alien walked to the center of the Galactic Council chamber. Unlike most council members, this being wore simple clothes with no fancy decorations. Its large eyes blinked slowly as it looked around the room. I am Sal of the Neri, it said. My people have been part of this council for 10,000 years. In all that time, we have rarely spoken at these meetings. Today, I must. Back on Earth, Hannah, Tajo, and Jinwoo watched through the alien probe's connection. They had expected the connection to be cut after their message, but it remained open. They could see everything happening in the council chamber. Who are the Neri? Hannah whispered. I've never heard of them, Tajo replied, his eyes fixed on the screen. In the council chamber, Saul continued. The Neri have observed Earth for centuries. We have watched humans grow and change. We have studied their languages and cultures. High Envoy Zix stood up angrily. This is irregular. The humans broke our laws by accessing this meeting. They should be punished, not discussed. The council leader, a tall being with golden skin, raised a hand. We will address their breach later. For now, let the Neri speak. It is rare enough to warrant our attention. Zix sat down, his blue skin darkening with anger. The collective believes that one language leads to harmony, Zal said. This has been the rule for all species joining the council. They must adopt the standard galactic language and put aside their old tongues. Several council members nodded in agreement. But the Neri remember a time before this rule. Zal continued. We remember when the galaxy was filled with many languages and ways of thinking. It was a time of great innovation and discovery. The chamber grew quiet. Many younger species had never heard this history. The collective claims linguistic unity brings peace. But I ask you, has the galaxy become more peaceful since this rule was made? Has it become more creative, or has progress slowed? Some council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The humans have shown us something important, Zal said. Something rare. Do you know how unusual it is for a species to maintain multiple languages after developing global communication? Most species naturally choose one language for convenience, but humans chose a harder path. They chose to preserve their diversity even when it would be easier not to. On Earth, Hannah looked at her team members with surprise. No one had expected an alien to defend humanity. In the past 1,000 years, Zal continued, only 3 species have entered space while maintaining linguistic diversity. All 3 made remarkable contributions to galactic science and art before they were standardized. Zal looked directly at Zix. The collective fears what it does not understand. It fears the chaos of diversity because it cannot control it. Zix jumped to his feet. This is outrageous. The humans are primitive. They spend half their resources fighting each other. Yes, Zal agreed calmly. They fight. They disagree. They clash. And from that clash comes growth. From disagreement comes new ideas. From diversity comes strength. The Golden Council leader leaned forward. What are you suggesting, Neri? That we ignore our traditions and laws for these humans. I suggest we remember the true purpose of those laws. Zal replied. We created them to build a peaceful galaxy. But peace without growth is stagnation. The humans have reminded us of what we have lost. The council chamber buzzed with voices as members debated among themselves. On Earth, Jinwu suddenly pointed at the screen. Look at the other species. Some of them seemed to agree with the Neri. He was right. Many council members were nodding as Tal spoke. Others looked thoughtful. Only the collective representatives seemed angry. We might have more friends out there than we thought, Taijo said quietly. Hana watched as the council leader raised his hands for silence. This matter requires careful consideration, the leader announced. We will recess for one rotation to reflect on what we have heard today. As the council members began to leave, Zal looked directly at the camera through which Earth was watching. The universe is larger than the collective, the green alien said softly, as if speaking directly to Hana and her team. And far more interesting. The next day, Earth's team gathered again to watch the Galactic Council meeting. Hana had not slept. She had spent the night researching everything they knew about the Neri and other alien species. It wasn't much. What do you think will happen? Jinwu asked, handing Hana a cup of coffee. I don't know, she admitted, but I think we made an impression. The screen lit up. The council chamber was full again. The golden leader stood at the center. We have discussed the human transmission at length, the leader announced. Many views have been shared. Now High Envoy Zix wishes to address the council. Zix stepped forward, his blue face serious. The collective maintains that humans are not ready for galactic society, he said firmly. Their hack into our meeting only proves they don't respect our rules. Some council members nodded in agreement. However, Zix continued, we acknowledge that their message showed unexpected qualities. Their translation technology is impressive for such a young species. Taijo smiled. He's giving us a compliment. That must hurt. Therefore, Zix said, the collective proposes a test. If humans truly believe their linguistic skills are special, let them prove it. Hana leaned forward. This was unexpected. "We challenge Earth to master the galactic standard language," Zix announced. "Not in 200 years, but in 6 months. If they can present their case in our language by then, we will consider lifting the quarantine." The council buzzed with surprise. 6 months was an incredibly short time. "This is a trick," Jinwoo said. "They think it's impossible." Hana wasn't so sure. "Maybe. Or maybe they're offering us a real chance." On the screen, Saul spoke up. 6 months is very little time. No species has learned the standard language in less than 2 years. "Exactly," Zix smiled. "If humans are as advanced as they claim, let them prove it. If not, they will have shown that our judgment was correct." The council leader looked thoughtful. "Is the challenge fair? The standard language is complex. We will provide basic learning materials," Zix said. "The same any species receives. Nothing more, nothing less." The leader turned to face the camera. "People of Earth, do you accept this challenge?" Hana looked at Taijo. This was a crucial moment. They had no time to consult with world leaders. "We accept," Hana said firmly. Taijo nodded his agreement. "Very well," the leader said. "In 6 months, Earth may present its case again in the galactic standard language. The council will then vote on your status." The screen went dark. The connection had been cut. 6 months to learn an alien language from scratch, Jinwoo said, shaking his head. "Is that even possible?" Hannah's mind was racing. "We need someone special. Someone with extraordinary language skills." Taijo was already on his phone. "I'll call the UN. We need to gather the best linguists in the world." "Not just any linguist," Hannah said. "I know who we need." 3 days later, Hannah stood in a university classroom. A young man was teaching a class, moving easily between Korean, Japanese, and English. His students watched in amazement as he switched languages mid-sentence without pausing. "Lee Jaiho," Hannah said when the class ended. "My best student." Jaiho looked surprised to see his former professor. "Dr. Kim, what brings you here? How many languages do you speak now, Jaiho?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "Fluently. 12. I can get by in another 8. How would you like to learn a new one? One no human has ever spoken before." Jaiho's eyes lit up. "An alien language. Is this about the collective?" Hana nodded. "Earth's future depends on learning their language in 6 months. Most experts say it's impossible." Jaiho smiled. "Most experts haven't tried to learn 20 languages. It won't be easy," Hana warned. "The galactic language might not work like any human language." "That's what they said about Navajo," Jaiho replied. "And I learned that in 3 weeks." Hana handed him a small device. "This contains everything the collective sent us about their language. Will you help us?" Jaiho took the device. "When do we start?" "Right now," Hana said. "The clock is ticking." 2 months had passed since the challenge began. In a special room at UN headquarters, Lee Jaiho sat surrounded by screens showing alien symbols. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he kept working. "How is it going?" Hana asked as she brought him a cup of tea. Jaiho rubbed his eyes. "It's the hardest language I've ever studied. The sounds don't match any human language. The grammar is based on time cycles that don't exist on Earth." "But can you learn it?" Hana asked softly. Jaiho nodded. "I'm making progress. The basics are starting to make sense." Across the hall, Jinwoo was working with a team of engineers. They had built a device to help Jaiho practice the unusual sounds of the alien language. "Try this," Jinwoo said, handing Jaiho a small headset. "It will change the sound waves to match alien vocal patterns." Jaiho put on the headset and spoke. His voice came out sounding different, more musical, and with tones humans couldn't normally make. "This is amazing," Jaiho said, his voice strange through the device. In another part of the building, Commander Taijo was in a private meeting with a visitor. The visitor was Call, the green Neri alien who had spoken for humans at the council. "Thank you for coming in secret," Taijo said. "The collective doesn't know you're here." "No," Tel said. "My ship is small and fast. I wasn't followed." "Why are you helping us?" Taijo asked directly. Zal's large eyes blinked slowly. "The collective grows too powerful. They forget the old ways of the galaxy. They forget why we explore the stars in the first place." "And why is that?" Taijo asked. "To learn, to grow, to find new ideas." Sal looked out the window at Earth's blue sky. For too long, the galaxy has had one way of thinking, one language, one path. It is boring. Taijo smiled. "So you're helping us because you're bored." "I am helping you because you are interesting," Sal corrected, "and because the collective is not telling you everything." Taijo's smile faded. "What do you mean?" Zal handed him a small crystal, similar to the one from the probe. "Earth sits at an important place in space. 3 major travel routes cross near your solar system. Whoever controls these routes controls much of the galaxy's trade. And the collective wants control," Taijo said, understanding now. "Yes, the 200-year quarantine was never about giving you time to develop. It was about giving them time to claim legal rights to your region of space." Taijo's hands tightened into fists, so they were planning to steal our home. Zell nodded. "The collective has done this before. Find a young species, declare them unfit for space travel, then take their resources while they wait. We need to tell the council," Taijo said. "You will need proof," Saul replied. "The crystal I gave you contains collective records, but you must present it properly, in the standard language, or the council will not listen." Later that day, Taijo showed the crystal to Hana and Jiho. "This changes everything," Hana said after hearing Taijo's story. "The collective isn't just testing us. They're trying to steal our future." Jiho studied the alien records on the crystal. "There's so much information here. Trade routes, legal documents, plans for bases near Earth. Can you understand it all?" Taijo asked. "Not yet," Jiho admitted. "But I will. I have to." Hana put her hand on Jiho's shoulder. "We're asking too much of you." Jiho shook his head. "No, this is what languages are for, to understand others, to learn their secrets, to know when they're lying." He turned back to his screens. "I can do this. I need another month for basic fluency, then 1 more to master the formal language needed for the council. That leaves us just 2 months to prepare our case," Taijo said. "It will be enough," Jiho said firmly. "The collective thinks language is just words, but it's more than that. It's a way of thinking, and humans are very good at thinking in new ways." Outside the window, the sun was setting. Somewhere in space, the collective was making plans, thinking humans had no chance to meet their challenge. They were wrong. 6 months after the challenge began, a small Earth ship approached the Galactic Council station. Inside, Commander Taijo, Dr. Kim Hana, and Lee Jiho prepared for the most important meeting in human history. "Are you ready?" Hana asked Jiho gently. Jiho took a deep breath. He looked tired but determined. For months, he had worked day and night learning the alien language. Now everything depended on him. "I'm ready," he said. "I can do this." Taijo checked the time. "The council meeting starts in 1 hour. The collective expects us to fail." "Then they're in for a surprise," Hana said with a smile. Their ship docked at the station. Alien guards led them through long hallways to the council chamber. The room was even bigger than it had looked on screen. Hundreds of different aliens sat in the rising seats. At the front, High Envoy Zix waited with a smug look on his blue face. "Humans," the Golden Council leader said, "you have come to meet our challenge. 6 months ago, we asked you to learn the galactic standard language. No new species has mastered it in less than 2 years." Zix stepped forward. "As expected, the humans have failed. They cannot possibly have. We accept the challenge," Jiho interrupted in perfect galactic standard language. His voice was clear and confident. The council chamber went silent. Zix's blue face turned almost white with shock. "Impossible," he whispered. Jiho walked to the center of the room. Using the headset Jinwoo had made, he spoke in the musical tones of the alien language. "Honored council members, I am Li Jiho of Earth. I stand before you today to speak on behalf of my planet and my species." His pronunciation was perfect. Even the most complex sounds came easily to him now. The collective claims humans are too divided to join galactic society. They point to our many languages as proof of our weakness. Jiho turned slowly, making eye contact with aliens around the room. "But today, I address you in your language. Not because we believe one language is better than many, but because we respect your traditions enough to learn them." He continued speaking, his voice growing stronger. As he talked, Hannah noticed something interesting. Different council members were reacting in different ways. Some leaned forward with wide eyes. Others sat back, looking thoughtful. "He's doing more than speaking their language," she whispered to Tajo. "He's changing his style for different species." She was right. Jiho was subtly shifting his speech patterns as he turned to different parts of the room. For some aliens, he used more formal terms. For others, he used simpler structures. He was adapting to their cultural preferences in real time. Now Jiho said, "I must share something important with the council." He held up the crystal Xal had given them. "This contains collective records about Earth, about their real plans for our solar system." Zix jumped to his feet. "This is outrageous. The humans are lying." "Let them speak," the council leader commanded. Jiho placed the crystal in a reader. The screen above showed maps of space routes crossing near Earth. It showed plans for collective bases in Earth's solar system. Most importantly, it showed the real reason for the 200-year quarantine, to give the collective time to claim legal rights to the area. "The collective did not quarantine Earth to help us grow," Jiho explained. "They did it to take what is ours while we waited." The council chamber filled with angry voices. Many members were shocked by the evidence. Zix tried to speak, but the noise was too loud. The council leader had to bang his staff several times for quiet. "These are serious accusations," the leader said. "High Envoy Zix, how do you respond?" All eyes turned to the blue alien. For once, he had no quick answer. "The human speaks our language," the leader continued, "but more importantly, he understands how to speak to each of us in our own way. This shows a level of cultural awareness that is remarkable." Hana and Tajo exchanged hopeful looks. The tide was turning. "The council will deliberate on this matter," the leader announced. "We will give our decision tomorrow." As they left the chamber, Jiho swayed slightly. Hana caught his arm. "You did it," she said proudly. "You were amazing." Jiho gave a tired smile. "I just did what humans do best. I adapted." The next day, the council chamber was completely full. Species from all over the galaxy had come to hear the decision about Earth. Commander Tajo, Dr. Kim Hana, and Li Jiho stood together at the center, waiting. The Golden Council leader stepped forward. The room went silent. "We have reviewed the evidence presented by Earth," the leader announced. "We have also examined the collective's records. Our decision is unanimous." Hannah held her breath. This was the moment that would decide humanity's future. "The quarantine on Earth is hereby lifted," the leader declared. "Humans are granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, effective immediately." The chamber erupted in cheers and strange alien sounds of approval. Hannah hugged Jiho, who looked ready to collapse from exhaustion and relief. Furthermore, the leader continued, "The collective's claim to the space routes near Earth is denied. These routes will be jointly managed by Earth and neighboring systems." Zix and the other collective representatives sat in stunned silence. Their plan had failed completely. This council was impressed not only by the human ability to learn our language, the leader said, but by their understanding that communication goes beyond words. By adapting to the cultural styles of different council members, they showed a rare gift for true connection. Taijo stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Earth thanks the council for its wisdom. We look forward to working together with all species for a better galaxy. In the months that followed, Earth became the center of a new movement in the galaxy. Many species, inspired by humanity's example, began reclaiming their native languages and cultural practices. Jinwu's translation technology was shared across the galaxy. Soon, people from different planets could talk to each other while keeping their own languages. This created a boom in new ideas and art forms as different ways of thinking mixed together. 1 year after the Council's decision, Earth opened its first galactic embassy. It was a beautiful building with 27 sides, one for each of the major human languages. Inside, diplomats from across the stars gathered to learn from each other. I never expected this when we started, Hannah said as she walked with Taijo and Jiho through the embassy gardens. None of us did, Taijo agreed. We just wanted to prove the collective wrong. And now we've changed the galaxy, Jiho said softly. His health had finally returned after his intense work learning the alien language. Zal approached them, smiling in the Nuri way. The collective's influence continues to decline. More species are remembering their original languages every day. Is that causing problems? Hannah asked. Some confusion, perhaps, Tal admitted, but also great creativity. New music, new science, new ways of seeing the universe. The galaxy was stagnant for too long. A group of young aliens walked by, each speaking in their native tongue while wearing Jinwu's translation devices. They were excitedly discussing ideas that would have been impossible to express in the standard language. Hai Invoizix still believes we made a mistake, Kazal said. He thinks diversity leads to chaos. And what do you think? Taijo asked. Zal looked at the bustling embassy, where hundreds of languages could be heard. I think the galaxy is alive again. That evening, Earth held a special ceremony. Representatives from every country spoke in their own languages, welcoming the galaxy to humanity's home. Each speech was translated perfectly, keeping the unique beauty of each language. As Hannah watched, she remembered the blue alien's words from long ago. He had called Earth barbaric, fractious, and technologically immature. Now those same qualities, humanity's passion, diversity, and adaptability, were transforming the galaxy. We showed them, Jiho said, standing beside her. Yes, Hannah smiled. We clapped back in 27 languages. Above them, the night sky was filled with the lights of visiting ships from distant worlds. Earth was no longer alone or quarantined. It was the heart of a new galactic order, one where differences were not erased but celebrated, where many voices spoke together, and where the future was as diverse as humanity itself.